or can we get a hold of copies of the meeting where the cemetery was accepted?
I was there.
Purchase? That's beside the point. I want a copy of the meeting minutes. Were you there?
No, I was coming back from.
I was. What do you wanna
other
know?
things.
I want a copy of those minutes. I think
Well,
this-
that would be with the town clerk.
That is, well, we need to inform the town clerk, because that is part of what we need for our cemetery records.
Well, we need
We
a
can't
copy,
just-
we need a
we-
copy of the
We
deed more
can't-
so than the.
Yeah, we
minutes.
can't just
Yeah.
scribble something in here, you know?
This was for our stuff, that's cemetery.
Was it
692.
a unanimous decision, or was there conversation?
Yes. No.
No conversation against?
No, there was. People were wondering why we were
We gotta go
accepting.
the order.
Okay, well, that would be in
Call to
the,
order and then
that would be in
that's
the
on
minutes.
here under,
Okay, yes,
Item
I can
6.
call this meeting of the Town Cemetery Committee for, what's today's date? June 19th, 2:25, 7 o'clock PM in the town office building. Okay. We can go
Minutes.
ahead with
May
minutes.
15th, I passed out to everybody. I just wanted to check. We're good. What was the date? 5/15.
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes.
Second?
You weren't here,
No, I wasn't here.
so you probably shouldn't.
That's why I didn't.
Well, she can second, she just will abstain.
Okay.
I wrote them, so I don't feel like I should do that, but that's fine. I'll vote for them. If anybody has any changes, let me know.
Mhm. Okay,
Allison
and-
abstaining.
That. Oh dear, you've written in here that you and I are trying to find a spot for the Lake Woods.
We didn't do it.
Shh. Well, there was no time. Okay, I don't have any problems with this.
So all those in favor say aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Did somebody second?
Yes.
I second.
Yep, no, we're all good.
Yeah.
And it sounds like motion carried unanimously with Allison abstaining.
Right.
Yes. So, communications is next.
The only thing that I have to report that's not an agenda item is that the terms for Allison and Rich expire June 30th, 2025. The appointment, the selectman's office need a email or a letter from us just requesting reappointment as long as they both wish to continue or wherever we're doing with that. So Rich is not here to ask. Allison, are you in?
I'm in.
All right, so we will do a memo requesting, and we have a text out to Rich, who couldn't be here tonight, to
Yep.
make sure he's still willing to stay.
If not, there is someone who has already volunteered and he's on file.
Right.
And do we want to discuss that now? Or do we want to wait until number 10?
10.
Well, I think the request for alternates is different than just the regular 5
Somebody-
members that we are already approved for.
Somebody replacing Rick, he doesn't want to continue.
Well, I also was approached by Ken Beatrice that he would like to be a part of the board, part of the committee.
If you can ask him to fill out a form, or I'll get one of the forms and bring it to him, so that if we get the alternates,
Can you
or
just,
if we have a vacancy,
can you
we're
email
ready
it
to
to
go.
him?
Oh, yeah, I'll get one to him. I'll just make a note.
He did say, I asked him if he would be willing to be an alternate. He said yes, but he is interested in being on the board.
Do you know, this sounds, but do you know what party affiliation he is? Because we are heavily Republican, we need to get some Ds on them.
No.
We'll have to check that as well, because we can't.
Yeah, we kind of have to.
We have to have party balance.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
we do have to get some Ds. Check party affiliation. Okay, okay.
Being unaffiliated does not count.
It's okay, but we can't have, we presently have 3 Republicans on the committee. You can't have any more than
Yeah.
that. So,
Right. A lot of times if you're unaffiliated, sometimes you are approached by a certain party, so you come in under that
that
party.
only works with elected. It doesn't work with appointed.
Oh, okay.
It's only in
Okay.
elected.
Well, there you go. That answers that.
Yeah, I wouldn't, I quit the Republican Party and I will then join the Democratic Party. So,
Okay, so that's all I had for communications of what wasn't on there.
Okay.
Veterans update, I know they weren't able to be here tonight because they're getting ready for an event this weekend, but they've spent a ton of time working up, they've been at Moodus Cemetery, North Moodus Cemetery, and they have moved back over to Bashan Cemetery this week, so.
Yeah, they were at Moodus for a long time.
They do, Irma sends wonderful reports about what they do, and if it's a town-owned cemetery, I do print it out and put it in my book under the appropriate cemetery, so we are keeping a record of it.
mhm. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I noticed that.
There's
But
on our
also,
minutes.
they put the report in
there's
there.
been a
Irma did
request
that
for
for
them
last
to do
time.
some work at Foxtown too, so I don't know when they'll get there, but
Have they been out there? Foxtown?
when they were doing the original survey,
Oh, okay.
but they haven't done any work there yet.
Foxtown, is that one of the towns?
And they are trying to definitely focus just on veterans at this point. So they're everywhere.
Refresh my memory, where's Foxtown?
Facilities, I have heard nothing from Don. I did not check in with him, other than that the next item, which is number 6, Three Bridges Cemetery, is action was taken at a town meeting on June 4th, and it passed, and Crary was at the meeting. Was there any interest or dialogue or questions, or it was just a...
There's some questions, about, why, well, at first it was the questions of the wording on the deed and how you size it. It was like 1 inch to 5 inches or something, and there was a big discussion on that.
Okay, well, that should have been written up, so I think we can get a copy of the minutes.
So, but other
That
than that,
meeting.
Yes, would like copy.
I think people were more curious than anything.
Yeah, well,
Minutes, and
People
we
don't
need
pay
to find
attention.
out if the deed has been recorded.
Did they actually know it existed?
What, the cemetery?
Yeah.
Most people do not.
most people don't know anything about cemeteries.
No. They didn't even, no.
Also, because of the acceptance of it, this was the front page of our website. I printed it out and gave everybody a copy. I talked with Linda Zimaniski prior to the meeting. We added Three Bridges Cemetery to the list of town-owned cemeteries. I think it's a good idea that annually we review, and it seems like a good time. So if anybody wants this to read, and obviously Allison and Rich are on here for the terms expiring. So that change will need to be made as well when the reappointments occur. But if there's anything in there that someone wants different on that website, good time for that review.
Bashan means as capital C for cemetery.
Oh, it's got Emmetary, I see
It
that.
says cemetery, yes,
Where?
it says cemetery.
We can correct that.
There she is!
We were just
We were
talking
just-
about you.
Yeah, here's your minutes for town meeting minutes where that was recorded. I don't have a
Perfect.
deed back
Yeah.
yet. That has the stamp on it with 5-page,
Volume.
but I should have that very shortly. here's an application we did receive for Ken Beatrice
Oh,
already.
You are watching,
Um,
good girl.
And here's the only problem I have, when he submitted this in 2003, he was a Dem,
Yeah.
but when I checked the last voter registration,
He's a
he's an R.
Republican. Yeah.
So,
We'll have to
I'll
talk
have
about
to
that
see if
after,
anything
though.
changed.
You still have Phil Barlow's? He put an application for the committee a long time ago.
I don't remember seeing his, or I would've had this.
Because you were like, you know
I
they don't
would've
have
had
a,
this.
you know they don't have any seatings
Yeah,
right
I'd
now.
have to, because I would've pulled it, so I'll have to, check on that.
Okay, because I know he's been kind of waiting.
If when you go back, we need a C in cemetery.
Okay,
On that
I'll take
page.
care of that.
Ken,
If you want to take that to remember, you can.
That's all right, I'll do it right when I go back, so I won't
can I
forget.
get more copies of that? I'd like to have a copy of
You
that.
can have it.
Oh, I want it?
You
Okay.
can pull it right off the website, it's already on the
Yeah, but
website.
I'm not on the internet.
It's all
yet.
set, so.
Pull
Anyway,
and file. Thank you very much.
I'm sure I can help with.
I'll get my special glasses. Okay, so Three Bridges Cemetery is done.
The other two things, because of the acquisition of Three Bridges Cemetery, are rules and procedures, rules and regulations, also need to be amended. And,
Oh, I see there, yeah, under A, membership. Two alternates.
I think you're on the charge, right? Because we were talking about, for under Three Bridges Cemetery, for the rules and regulations, I didn't print those for everybody, but there's a list that says the following named cemeteries shall have been established as municipal, and then we made the documents that we made it the 5 cemeteries that should be documented as closed, and I'm assuming we're putting Three Bridges as a closed cemetery.
Yes.
So that needs to be amended, and I also, in reading it, kind of felt, because we're talking about, and I'm jumping around a little bit, my thoughts aren't cohesive, I guess. We were talking about putting in a request to do alternates. And
Mhm.
so if we're doing that, we're looking at the charge and all the associated documents with it. And I think we need to do a thorough review before we send in and see if there's anything else that we're changing. So we were all asked last time to look at the charge, and I put in my thoughts and upgrade, I documented
She's
them.
talking about charge. You're talking about membership terms?
And I'm talking about Chapter 12, boards, commissions, committees, agencies. So, under A, yes, we wanted to add, the committee shall consist of 5 members and 2 alternates.
Yeah, okay, I see that.
And then the term, because we're past the establishment, I would think if we get 2 alternates, one would, one even in odd years, so that, one is always swapping. And then I questioned in it, under 1237 duties, which is, as part of the budget process, the committee shall designate that part of the budget dedicated to the cemetery maintenance, which the facilities director shall oversee. Now, since we don't have any control over that part of the budget presently, I don't know that the rules should say that we do. So I think we should have some discussion at point in time.
Yeah.
And then,
The
under-
thing with alternates, like on the Historic District Commission, I'm an alternate, and there are 2 others. We don't have terms and limits, and it's just whoever shows up at the meeting, if they need somebody to fill in for a member who's not present, the chairman says, okay, will you take the place of, when it comes to voting, one of the alternates is asked to take the place. Usually the alternates do come to the meetings.
Well,
Yeah.
but they have a term.
yeah, they should have a term.
Well, they have a term, but it doesn't matter. They don't have to switch back and forth.
No, that wasn't what I meant when I said that. It's just, and when you look at the terms that we had on this page, we've got 3 of us that terms end in 2026, 2 in 25, so it's staggered. So I'm assuming if we were to appoint an alternate today, one would have a term that would end in 2026, one would have a term that would end in 2027, and then the next one in 28, and so that they're not ending together, they're just
Yeah.
alternating, was the language, I didn't write it out. And then under donations and perpetual funds, our thing reads, from trust donations shall be used to maintain and reserve the cemeteries. I think it needs a P in that for preserve the cemeteries.
Yeah, I see that.
So that was my review of the board's committee, of the call, if we wanted to change that. But then under the bylaws, the rules and procedures, sorry. I think we need to add a whole thing on, under cemetery maintenance, all it says is the general maintenance of the cemetery designed to improve and maintain their appearance and condition shall be the responsibility of the facilities manager. It shall include such items as the upkeep of the drives, buildings, fences, stone walls, spring and fall cleanup, breaking of leaves, and the general periodic mowing of grass, and a report of such activity shall be conveyed to the cemetery committee annually. It doesn't say anything about trees. And I think we need to establish something about trees, because we're having a heck of a time with all these dead and dying trees around the
I'm
cemeteries
trying
right
very
now.
hard to
And
find
it's
what
not
you're
gonna
talking
get any
about.
better.
We don't have it.
Oh,
I didn't print it, I was
yeah, I
just,
thought we had discussed about adding trees in one of the last meetings.
You're under the maintenance, general maintenance.
Yeah.
and I think we need to have some, we talked about amending the charge, but we didn't talk about amending the bylaws and rules and procedures. And I think it all needs to go together as a cohesive package, because
Trees, we keep that in First Church as a separate subject from maintenance, because it's so expensive. You know, if a tree has to come down, we have to wait until we've got
but
money to
nowhere
go
in our
down.
document do we
We
put
don't mention trees at all.
anything that
Yeah, well.
we should remove dead and dying trees, maybe trees that are showing obvious signs of
Or
unhealth.
trees should be evaluated every 2 years.
We have so many that are dead
Yeah,
to
all
worry
of that.
about right now, and then we'll worry about the ones that look like they're not in good shape.
My point was that we don't have anything written there, and I
Right.
think that we kind of
I
need
know
to.
with one tree that everybody wanted cut down in First Church Cemetery, we went to George Hungerford, and he said, no, I'll just trim off all the dead part, and then we'll fertilize it, and it'll be fine. And it is fine, after he did that. And he said it should last for another 10 years. So it's possible on some of the trees, they just need to be
Right,
pruned.
but I think maybe we want to say in general, we don't want trees planted inside the cemetery that are going to grow more
Yeah,
than.
but the trees that we have, probably they're not in the cemeteries, they're on the outside of the walls.
That wasn't the case
Which
at
some of them are.
Bashan.
Make it on our
That's not the
property.
case at Warner, and that's not the case at Second Yard.
Well, Second Yard, a good number of them are on around the outside, at least the ones
There
that
aren't
have,
very many in Second.
the
Well,
ones
there
that
are
fell
Warner.
down and did damage all were from the
There
outside
are
of
at
the
Warner and
cemetery.
there are at Bashan.
They should always take, they were all taken down, yeah.
Right, but the point would be that, you know, if
We need to have a section on trees.
Yeah,
So that we can make a recommendation, we make our recommendations now, and it still comes down to whether or not we have the finances to do it,
Yeah.
so.
Right,
You're just
but it
making
gives
it,
us a
you're just
little,
kind of
it
making
gives
it
it
official
gives us
that.
a little more
are all the
teeth
ones around the Ackley
that
Cemetery,
it's part of the policy that,
Right,
Yes, it did, and an email.
I
Because there
think,
were quite a few around the Ackley Cemetery.
I think they're all gone
Yeah.
now.
Right now, the Three Bridges one has got at least 4.
1,500 apiece, if we're lucky.
1,500?
Oh, it didn't cost me that to have mine taken down. I had 5 estimates, and I had 3 trees to take down. Didn't cost me that much.
Yeah, were they
That
easy
was-
to get at?
I don't know
One's
that
at
we
Three
need,
Bridges.
I just think we need a more of a comprehensive review of all of it and to do them all together was my thought.
Well, I might suggest that we possibly get somebody like maybe George Langford to just ask if he'd like to volunteer to be with the group that goes around and looks at the various trees in the various cemeteries.
Yeah, but we have to
But
put
that's the work,
something
that's-
in here
Thank you.
before we can do that. We have to have it in the scope of our
I-
purview.
What happens on the day-to-day is different than just, the point is that we have process and procedure that doesn't mention trees, so what?
We'll just add it at the end of that. Add it at the end of that section, and also to include trees.
Deb, are those available in a file?
That they're on the website.
Oh, they're on the
Yeah,
website.
see that this page that we just did, they're the two documents on the bottom.
Oh, okay. So we can just go online and look at it
And look at them.
and take notes and. bring-
Is it this something that maybe we could do like a subcommittee or something to sit down and bring something, put it together and bring it back? Maybe like, I don't know, maybe Allison and I could sit down and write
But
something
these
and
are
bring it
we're
back.
only 5 people on the whole committee.
It's just, we're circles at the moment, so.
Yeah, we could do
I don't know, I don't have a copy.
No, I know, this is first.
Oh.
You can have it if he wants it.
Oh, yeah,
I
this
can
is, I
write
haven't
another
read
one.
it. I'll have to take a copy and read it.
It's just, that was just my thought was before, we just went in and said, okay, we need to do an amendment to add the Three Bridges Cemetery to that as a town-owned cemetery, and amend the document. We should review the document, and in my just
that. Well, it's.
preliminary review, I saw that,
It's
so.
time that we look at it anyway, because it's been, 3 years since the committee started and we did that, so we should look at it and see if it reflects what we're actually doing.
Right, which is why I mentioned that part about the budget, because that's not how
It's
it
not-
goes, nor is it how the administration wants it to go, so.
No, they don't want
um,
to spend any money on trees.
But that's where we're with that, and so we've got some things to find out.
Okay.
And popping along to
Do you have a
7,
copy of that?
under old business, we've still got the fencing at Bashan, the stairs at Warner, the Spencer Stones, and the Mark Phillips Stone. I have
Where is
no
that?
new item,
Status quo.
status quo.
Number
Number 8, however, is the budget, and there is some stuff on that. The referendum was held May 27th. It failed by, I think it was 9 votes.
Yeah.
Mhm, mhm.
When's the next one?
The next
Oh,
public
22nd.
hearing, the next public hearing is on June 24th. The town meeting to send it to referendum is July 8th, and the referendum is July 22nd. And I asked whether or not anything was cut from our budget, and I was told that as of the time being, it stands as it was. However, there has been discussion. They put in $20,000 a year for each of the next 3 years for tree removal, and there was discussion of knocking that down to $15,000 a year for the next 4 years rather than the next 3.
Townwide.
Thank you.
Oh, not just for cemeteries.
Townwide?
Townwide.
For cemeteries.
Just for public,
for cemeteries.
Right, they were putting that in just for cemeteries for the
Oh,
need
Okay,
to
so
do
it
Well,
is-
at least there's something.
Right. So, we do have that.
I figured, I thought it was,
So-
he applied a while ago.
So that's what I know at the moment. And I don't know if they've met and decided anything or what, but that was the last status I had. But it still would give us $60,000 for tree removal, just not as quickly. That's where they were at.
Oh, it's better than nothing.
Yeah.
Number 9 is possible expansion of Mount Parnassus. You'll recall,
Mhm.
we wanted to meet with the Board of Finance on that because we've got to find out where they're at. We've got to do some homework about potential properties where we may own. And we kind of said we wanted to sit down with them after the budget was put to bed so that they could focus on that. And the budget is not put to bed yet, so we didn't move forward with that. And I think we kind of have to have a meeting with where they're coming from before we do too much work on trying to find other things. We talked about writing a letter explaining the need for space for like an events article or something, but I think we really need to find out the Board of Finance's position and what they will or won't support before we spend a lot of time on it.
Trying to maybe, through a letter campaign or articles in the newspaper, see if we can find somebody who has, extra land and might want to donate it for a tax write-off to the
Well,
town.
I think we need to start with,
Does the town have a parcel that could be
well,
used?
it's not even that. We might go through all the work and find a parcel, and if the Board of Finance isn't going to fund the surveying and the acquisition costs and all that other kind of stuff because they don't feel that the town should be in the cemetery business, which is what two of the members
We could challenge
said.
that in court.
We just need to have.
You have to have the money.
I would be willing to go for free to court and challenge that. I think
So
every
cemetery would that come under
every
land
town
use,
should have a town cemetery.
I agree
And
with you.
most of the towns do.
And a lot of them are private associations, so we need to first start with the Board of Finance and find out where we stand and where we're gonna go, because otherwise, we're just the dog chasing its tail, bringing all these ideas forward about where to put a new cemetery, if at the end of the day, they aren't gonna support it, so that's where we need to
From the
start.
standpoint of surveying, if we can find a piece of land that's already, marked off on the town maps, it would hardly need to be surveyed. If
Well,
it's
in
surrounded
order
by
to be-
stone.
In order to be laid out, it would need to be,
Well, I mean, yeah.
Laying out
yeah.
of a cemetery is totally different
well,
from.
there would be an expense associated
Yeah,
with it.
but
and
of course,
if-
I did First Church with two ladies in the congregation, and we did it for nothing. We spent an entire summer doing it, laying out the cemetery.
You were a
So-
little younger then.
I know, we'll just get young people involved.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I'm
Me and Rich
hoping,
and Deb.
Yeah, youngsters.
Debbie's 60, they don't feel so young.
I was thinking that.
I'm the youngest person on the Board of Trustees for the Historical Society.
Yeah, but there are, well, Pam isn't that much older than
I
you
think
are,
the
is she?
August meeting is where we're
3 years.
likely to be able to get an audience with the Board of Finance.
What nights do they meet?
The first Monday of the month, I think it is, I don't know, first or second, I
But
used to know.
you want to do it after the budget is settled?
Well, that's what we had
Yeah.
said before.
Right,
and
which
then
makes
the budget
sense.
failed, and then
So
the
right now,
budget
you have two
failed.
things that you want to bring up with them. One is trees, and the second is expansion
Well,
of either.
I don't think the Board of Finance needs to get involved with the trees, because they already
Money.
have through facilities. Well, they already have, they put it,
Yes.
in the budget, they put in the 60,000.
Mhm. Yeah, I think
Spread out over 3 years. The question is they may knock it down to 15, which saves them $5,000 in the budget. I think they had to cut 50,000 out of the budget. On the town side was the number that I heard, I don't remember exactly, but,
And don't forget that if we don't do it in August, Carl and I won't be able to go because we have a Monday.
Oh, yeah, Monday rehearsals, well,
okay.
we can always skip one of those.
Um,
Well,
What, after August, you're not available?
Yeah. We go
Well, we
back,
have rehearsals.
we go back to
on
rehearsal
Mondays.
in September.
Oh, okay.
If I miss one of those, another big crisis.
Depends on what,
Well, we have the rest of the commission.
Depends on what we're singing, if it's something we've
So-
sung before,
it's okay.
It's okay.
Well, what, I thought there were two things we needed, I guess not,
No, it was just, the one is that,
acquisition of more land.
well, it's where do they stand on cemeteries? Because at that meeting, I forget the date, March something or other, it seemed as though the chairman was in favor of cemetery expansion.
Yes.
Just not spending money to acquire it, as was Eric. Harvey and
That's not
Maureen.
How can you expand a cemetery without spending money?
The proposal that went through was for purchasing additional land behind the Smith Street Cemetery, and that was purchasing. So we own so much open space, which is restricted, but
Right.
there was comment that we shouldn't be buying more land for it. We can buy the land for open space, but not for cemeteries. That's
But why
my,
is a cemetery not open space?
It is,
It's being used.
It is.
it is.
No, it's not, it's being used.
Yes, but when you do an open space inventory, you include cemeteries.
No.
Well, I did when I was doing it,
Here?
when I was working with Jim Gibbons and we were doing open space inventories, we included cemeteries. Cemeteries are some of
land
the
that has-
best birding places.
but the land that has been
It's a-
purchased for open space has restrictions on it against structures, buildings, use. It's supposed to just be the raw land, so digging people and putting up stones is probably a violation. I don't know that, but I'm not spending the time, effort, and energy to get all these answers if at the end of the day, the Board of Finance feels we shouldn't be in this business, which is where Bill Barney, Maureen Goff, and Harvey Thomas seem to have been leading.
Okay.
And that's
Tell
3 of the
Bill
5.
Barney
So that's
the way
3 out of
he's-
5
The way he
already?
said we're just gonna
Yes.
throw his body into the river.
Whose
No,
body
not
are we
every-
throwing?
Bill Barney. That man, it doesn't matter what you want. He doesn't want it, he wants something else. He's always been that way at church meetings.
Stop it.
I'm sorry, but it's true. That's why he doesn't belong to
Well-
our church anymore.
Anyway, so we will see if we can get on the agenda for August.
Okay.
What agenda for?
Start there.
Board of Finance.
Board of
Board of
Finance.
Finance.
But that's
Well-
just, we need to understand.
So that would be in
where
a
we're
month.
going. August 11th.
That's the
I
last
think,
group
might
that
be
we
the
met
date.
with.
When do they meet, the second Monday?
First Monday, I think.
First Monday?
Well, that's the fourth,
Maybe it's
I
the
think.
second.
No, I don't know.
I used to know. I used to know like
The
this. I
first
don't
Monday
remember.
is the 4th. The second Monday is the 11th.
It's probably August 11th.
Now, when you and I went, wasn't that with the Board of Finance that we met over the budget?
Yeah.
So do you really think anything's gonna change by going back to them again?
We weren't asking at that point for funds for expansion, we were just putting the budget through, and I don't remember if that we were there on the budget, but we just need to get on the same page before we do things. And then,
Right.
I think that was it. That was it.
Okay. It's
Let's see.
on my calendar.
And
Cemetery
Carl,
board.
are you willing to appoint Allison and I to work on the presenting these 3 documents, the bylaws, the rules and procedures, and the charge? Bring that back to the committee as something that we can then send to the selectmen for, I mean, we adopt
POS.
for action on getting all alternates and attaching
Would
them.
you write
We have
that
the
up?
power to amend our bylaws and rules and procedures, but I think we would amend them as to current practice and then give the charge for what we need to correct it.
So what would you do? Just change the way this is written now to include those?
And
Or
then
you-
bring it to the
Yeah.
committee for
Yeah.
adoption and forward it.
Bring it back here.
Right, but so we're not sitting here at a meeting going about in line 1, we just bring it forward, then you guys read it and decide if you want to tweak it further.
Yeah, and then find some way to maybe highlight the changes by underlining them
Yeah,
or
right.
all caps or something.
Right.
Yeah. Fine.
That okay with you, Allison? Okay with me?
Okay.
And we'll talk about when we can meet after.
Thank you for volunteering.
And we still have to agenda item it, but we can do that, that's easy enough. Okay. And that's all I have. And we have no audience. Did anybody have anything else?
No.
We had, where
And then-
And the Millington Cemetery, did it ever
Can I-
get put in here as old business?
Oh,
Subcommittee to draft
The
revisions.
thing about
And-
Elaine Woods,
what about Millington Cemetery?
well, finding a spot for Elaine Woods.
Oh, it was in the minutes.
Yeah.
I didn't see it.
It was in the minutes on page 2.
Yeah, but
Carl,
you
do
did-
I have authority to send email to the selectmen about the reappointments, once we
Yes.
hear back from Rich?
So,
And if he does not wish to, we're pretty sure he wants to be reappointed, right?
I don't think he does.
Page 3 on the.
But I'm not gonna, I can't say. I
Right,
know he wants
okay.
to.
So if he doesn't, then we well, we gotta do some research, so we can only do one, and then we'll do the other one
Yeah.
the following month. Okay,
yeah, no, that was under,
okay,
Because I know he, well, I
yeah,
can't
Yeah.
speak for him.
right. Or should you?
okay.
I got it.
So it
Okay.
wasn't the minutes, it just didn't make it from those
So,
minutes
motion
to
to
this.
adjourn?
Yep,
Second.
Okay, well, how can we do this to get it back in again?
It went back.
all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I voted
Adjourned at
about
7:35.
The
Any opposed?
Millington Cemetery, it's not in the,
Haircuts.
yeah, but that's not the list of old business, where it should be.